starting speech. All right. Now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to our distinguished speakers, the IPs from Quiz and UNISEL. Welcome to the 5th session Bernas Program 1. My name is Norliana from the Faculty of Engineering and Life Sciences, UNISEL. It is my pleasure to be a moderator for today's webinar. Firstly, let me share something about Global Innovation Index. The Global Innovation Index ranks world economies according to their innovation capabilities. Consisting of roughly 80 indicators grouped into innovation inputs and outputs, the Global Innovation Index aims to capture the multidimensional facets of innovations. Statistically, this year, Malaysia ranks 36 in innovation inputs, lower than both 2020 and 2019. Malaysia performs better in innovation outputs than innovation inputs in year 2021. As for innovation outputs, Malaysia ranks 34th. This position is higher than in both 2020 and 2019. In the 7 Global Innovation Index pillars, Malaysia perform best in market sophistication, and Malaysia's weakest performance is in infrastructure. The innovation input and output will be discussed further by our guest speaker. So I would like to welcome our panels. Now let me briefly introduce our first panel, SITI BIRKHA, a professional technologist and a senior lecturer from the Faculty of Engineering and Life Sciences, UNISEL. She is experienced as an electrical engineer with more than 20 years of industrial and academia. In 2018 until 2020, she won several awards through innovative design and building processes. She is currently in the final phase of completing her PhD in power energy, where she is attached to University Malaya Power Energy Dedicated Center. She is also appointed as the assessor for EAC, ETEC, and MBOT for their respective engineering programs registered with the agencies. Our second panel is Dr. CHUA, a senior lecturer from UNITEN. He graduated with PhD in Creative Studies in Research related to engineering design process from UPSI. Dr. CHUA is currently a registered chartered engineer with the Engineer Council of the United Kingdom and a registered professional engineer with Board of Engineers Malaysia, BEM. He is current Vice Chair of International Young Member Committee, Southeast Asia Region Young Member Representative of the Institution of Mechanical Engineers that is based in London. He also served as a committee member in Malaysia branch. He also won the Institution of Mechanical Engineers International Strategy Board Volunteer Service Award in 2019. As I mentioned before, so this session is actually there's some innovation input and output that will be discussed by our speakers. So the start of an innovation process often has an element of chance, the discovery of an opportunity or some problems arising. Innovation includes idea championing and the implementations of ideas. With that, allow me to welcome the SITI BIRKHA to share something with us. Over to you.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To my beloved moderator, my colleagues in UNISEL, Madam Norliana, my panel's colleague, Dr. CHUA, and to all the Bernas team as well, the most welcome our VIPs, aka our audience. Okay, I would like to start with presentations of my slides. So let me share my screen. Okay, Madam Norliana and everyone, can you guys see my screen?
Yes,
Okay.
we can see that.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Okay. Once again, thank you very much for the welcoming introductions about me. All right. As per informed, okay, myself and Dr. CHUA, we will cover the second last part of the first program, okay, which is this webinar. And we will cover actually the last two parts of innovation chains. So our main topic is operational phases of the innovation value chain, in short, IVS. But the subtopic that I will cover in the first session is on the idea championing. And what is actually the most important part for you to chart your story. So in other words, I'll choose chart your story as part of my presentation to bring the VIPs and the audience how important is charting your story before you can actually do the idea championing. So a little bit about me, okay, my study background is in engineering. I started with diploma in electrical engineering, majoring in electronics from ITM, right? Then I pursue my bachelor degree in electrical engineering, majoring in communications and power in UITM. And I pursue my master in science in engineering business management in Warwick University. And then I continue working with industries, and then I'll join UNISEL before I decided to pursue my PhD in power energy, which is currently in my final phase of completing it in Universiti Malaya. So in terms of working experiences, as per brief by Madam Norliana earlier, okay, I have around 10 to 11 years of industrial working experience. Okay, first I started as a production engineer around 3 years, okay, in Sitwell, Malaysia. Sdn Bhd is an Australian-based owned company. And then when I came back from my master degree, I've been assigned to work as electrical engineers, more on the design part, on the transformer, as well on the circuit, on the wiring as well. Okay, so that is about 4 or 5 years before I've been appointed as the Sustaining Engineering Manager in Temedain Asia Sdn Bhd for about 4 years before I decided to join UNISEL, okay, in 2011. So if you ask me about my research interest, mainly in electrical energy, anything to do with electrical is actually will grab my interest, okay? And my research at the moment, okay, I can see that my niche interest in the building energy performances, looking at the important, how can we conserve energy in building, because currently we know that our building, a lot of building which is not energy efficient, new buildings perhaps, but the current building is not energy efficient. So that is actually my current interest at the moment. And at the same time, I look into the carbon emission in building, where most of the innovation nowadays is looking into the energy saving, into the carbon free, etc. So that is also capturing my interest. And I've been working with my architects friends, my civil engineers friends on building information modeling, and I'm doing the electrical energy calculations part. All right, apart with I mean together with the civil as well as the architect friends, okay. And in terms of the social science, anything related to environment also capture my interest. That's a little bit about me. So let us recap what has the earlier panel introduced to you about this Oslo manual 2008. So Dr. Rahman and the other panel has talked about the chain, from the problem identifications, next moves to the idea generations, idea championing, and then idea implementation. So you have been seeing this 2018 Oslo manual in terms of the innovation value change for, like almost every weekend. So my part and my colleague, Dr. CHUA, we will cover on the idea championing as well as the idea realization. So in a catchy form, okay, the first two part has been discussed with you. I know that we touched only on the surface part yet, And where does the things come in? Later in the webinar, later in the workshop, where you will be guided by the experts, inshallah, in how can you tackle all these phases. So today, my colleague, Dr. CHUA and myself, we will try to assist you on how can you prepare yourself on the idea championing as well as the idea realization phases. So looking at the Oslo manual again, okay, idea championing and idea implementations, what needs to be covered in these phases are, number one, you need to be able to explain the need for the change. If you can't convince the audience, if you can't convince your futures buyer or business owner, what is the purpose of your product, or what is the purpose of the change of the process, etc., methodology, whatever that is being innovated by you, so it is not going to be working well. Okay, so you need to be able to explain the needs for the change, convince them, I mean, in the best way that you can. Number two, get the buy-in from the leadership and key shareholders. This is actually the most important thing. Until the business owner, for instance, or until the panel that is actually listening to your innovation say that I'm interested, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to develop this product with you. Until you can get the buy-in, then only we can see that the innovation value change concept shown by Oslo is completely done by you through the innovations. And then the last part, the first two parts, point number one and number two, is focusing on the idea championing phase. And number three, you need to visualize the product as well as the process. Only then it complete the whole innovations process. Okay, so if you look into the definitions, what is idea championing? Because as I told you, idea championing is to convince, to get the buy-in. So by definition, when you do idea championing, an individual who actually actively and wholeheartedly believe. So please try to avoid, I think, I'm not sure, because in this case, you must believe that your idea, you must actually build the support, as well as you must be able to overcome all the resistance that come through when you try to sell your product, or when you try to convince the people about your product. It's very good, this is going to solve the problems, etc. So you are the one, you are the individual that must have the wholeheartedly believe in your ideas, and make sure you ensure that your innovations are implemented at the end of it. Okay. And number two, by definition, an idea champion is also called a change agent. So when you are doing idea championing, you really need to work until it's been realized. Okay, so you must convince people, and then you must get the buy-in, and then it will arrive at the idea implementation. So you are actually the change agent. And we don't have any of this product available in Malaysia, and now we have. So you are actually the change agents of products or innovation. So you serve as advocates for new technologies or procedures. So if you come up with a model, or you come up with a new methodology, you come up with new process of doing things, so you are actually has completed and successfully doing the idea championing. And number three, she or he serve as an advocate for new ideas or procedures or technologies. Okay, so by definition, hopefully that all the VIPs out there, you guys are clear. Make sure you are not like half-hearted. I'm not sure whether my product is going to work, I just try. Okay, so these are the things about idea championing. So let's focus on the first part, because both of us will cover on the idea championing as well as the idea implementation. So let's focus on the idea championing. So, I mean, what are the three important things I would like to share with you, VIPs out there, okay, in the idea championing process, because we need to convince people, right? We need to convince the business owner that later on they will say, okay, I'm interested, I want to develop this product with you, let's innovate this, let's manufacture this and allow the community to use. So the first thing that you have to do is you need to prepare. Okay, even though it's just like an idea again, but you need to prepare it well. Number two, after you have developed the preparing things, preparing of your innovations, you have to share. You cannot just keep inside, for instance, like your thesis. You cannot just keep it, okay, I'll just keep it in my notebook and done. You have to share. And how do you actually share? You have to present, okay? And the third points that you need, you actually really need during this idea championing process is getting feedback. And these 3 points, I will bring you guys VIP on how I have done it through some of the what we call it, innovations that I have introduced out there through my research mainly. So hence, I'm using chart your story, okay? So if you are unable to chart your own story, you cannot actually convince people out there. You are not sure. I think maybe 50-50 it will work. You cannot do that. So what you need in this phase is actually for you to think crucially, okay? Think crucially in these phases, okay? So point number 1, as I highlighted earlier, is on prepare. So during prepare mode, you really need to plan. You really need to organize your idea thoroughly. I know sometimes ideas just pop up, all right? But you need to actually prepare them. How do you prepare? Some of the tools, the easiest tools is mind map. Do the mind map first, okay? I mean, you can also use skeleton outline, and believe me, the plan part is not easy, okay? And you need, I'll show you later how you actually need to revisit and revisit and revisit your plan. Your mind map needs to be revisit oftenly, okay? The second point is for you to share and present. So after you have prepared what you want to share about your products or your process or technologies, okay, whatever it is that you try to innovate, you have to present. So before you present, you have to prepare what you want to present so that the panel or the audience really convinced. And I told you earlier, okay, in the share and presentation parts, it really needs lots of preparation, and some of the tips will be given later. And I just want to highlight to you that you can share in many mediums, okay? You can share your idea through competitions. You can share your idea through debates, symposium, as well as pitching competitions. And the last part, okay, in the idea championing is getting feedback. So getting feedback is actually for you to listen to the comments received from the assessor. Okay, if you are presenting to a business owner, you have to really listen. Definitely, I can see that when you present, your idea is not being accepted 100%. They will be very interested. They might be very interested to your idea, but they will say, okay, can we change this a little bit? I think you have to do this, blah, 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 okay? So you have to listen to the comments received from the assessor. And this is actually what I have been experienced through 2018, 2019, and 2020, okay? So what you need to do as an innovator, future innovator, please take note, okay, especially on the market needs, okay, because sometimes it's not easy for us to aware or study or get information on the market needs unless you truly, for example, you have to do the survey or whatever. But so during the getting feedback mode, you will actually be informed directly or indirectly about the market needs. So you have to take note about that. And when we ready with these 3 steps, you need to start. So when you start means you already jump to the idea implementation phase in the IVS, innovations value chain. So during this time, you have to review all the comments, revisit back your idea, revisit all your mind maps, and then get started when you are ready. Okay, so step number 1, prepare. So during preparation, I'm using the mind map because this is actually one of the method that I normally use. Okay, so you need to really clear about the problems that you try to solve. Okay, after that, the second mode is you have to come up with the idea generations, and then after that you have to present, and then only you are able to generalize it. Okay, number 1, actually when we do mind mapping, it's actually act as a trigger device. It will help you think about it, whether it's really a problem that I have to solve or maybe some other products has captured the attentions of the people out there to solve the problems. Okay, so it is actually act as a trigger device for your brain. And it's create an explosion in creativity, innovations, as well as the knowledge sharing. Number two, mind maps are based on the fundamental principles of creativity. And so they are actually perfectly suited to support your idea generations and innovation. Number three, they allow you to view a great many elements. Okay, I'll show you next. How does mind maps collect all the elements that you need in your innovations? At once does increase the probability of creative associations and integration, and consequently innovation. Once again, I would like to highlight to all the VIPs out there, the audience, that once you have built your mind map, you must continuously revisit your mind map. Okay. So in the mind map, okay, it has to encompasses a lot of things. You have to think about the technology that you use for this product that I'm going to innovate. What are the technologies that I want to use? Okay, and then you have to look at the growth, whether this product can only survive for 6 months, and then after that, people won't need it. Okay, the course, this is the most what we call it challenging part. Okay, we need to build the things. Sometimes we need mold. Mold is not cheap. So think about all this during your mind map. Okay, maybe you don't need a mold. You can actually you can actually manufacture this or fabricate this through different process, which is more cheaper, right? Risk, think about the risk. What are the risks you are taking in this part? So during the mind map process, you have to encompass all this. The design, okay, what are the design? Are you capable to do the design? After the design part, is it the local manufacturers able to manufacture it? Sometimes no, okay, you have to revisit again and change your design. The effort that you take, let's say for a product that is needed during the COVID-19, okay, what is the effort that you have to put? Working 24/7, working 3 shifts to make sure that it can be materialized and it can be fabricated in order to save the patients and whatsoever. Okay, usefulness needs to look at the usefulness of your product or your idea or innovations. The market and value proportions, please. This is actually one of the most important thing, because sometimes after you have included technology, you have looked at the course or whatsoever, maybe the value proportions and the market is not really impactful. Okay, the competitiveness, this is also another thing that you have to think about, whether you will have a very high competitors about your on your innovations, etc., as well as the improvement. You have to think about the improvement. And another thing, you also need to look at the after sales service. This is another thing that is very important. Whether after your product is out there, how about the after sales service? Is it very useful? You cannot say to your customers that no, after I have sold this, there is nothing we can help you whatsoever on the spare parts, etc. Okay. All right. During the process, okay, you have to highlight the issue and problems. Whether these problems is faced globally or locally, you have to highlight. This is actually part of the preparations, parts of the mind mapping process. Okay, then you have to explain the need for the innovation, the product or the process, whether it's really needed. Okay, then only you can get the buy-in from the market through presentations and shareholders, to the business owners, to the panels, etc. Okay, for example, can the audience out there tell madam what is actually the issues and the problems before the smart thermos is being developed? Anyone?
Smart thermos.
Yeah. What is actually the issues or problems that have been faced by the people out there before this smart thermos is being developed? Anyone?
Maybe the person want to drink, or to have warm drinking.
Yeah.
To keep.
Okay. But before that, what is actually the issue and problems that these innovators try to solve? Anyone?
It's on the tagline, never spill over. Is it because of the spill issue?
Okay, very good, Farhan. Thank you for your reply. Yes, okay. We have issues, right? Sometimes we are doing our work and we drink coffee. It spill out. Okay. So this is actually the issue that the innovators try to solve, and these issues is actually faced by global, not only local people, right? Okay. So when you already identify the issues and problem that you try to solve, then you have to be able to explain the needs of your innovations. Exactly like Farhan said, with this product, our hot coffee is not actually going to be on the laptop or on the table or on our paper whatsoever, right? Then only you can get the buy-in from the marketplace, shareholders, business owner, and can you guys see the process? Okay, right? As what Farhan has answered, this is actually the global problem. We drink coffees and then suddenly can spill on the laptop, spill on the papers, on our table, our working tables, etc. So this is actually why it is these ideas of the smart thermos is been developed. Okay, so these smart thermos, they have like this magnet that can actually stick to your table. So inshallah, even though when you are working on your laptop or writing something or teaching something, you accidentally hit it, it will not actually spill over. So when you had gone through this issue problem identification and you are able to explain the need of your innovation, you must be actively sure that your product is able to solve the problem. Then you have to get the buy-in. You have to present. You don't actually just keep your idea in your thesis or in your notebook. It's a waste. You have to share. Okay, so here we come to the next step, which is share and present. Okay, so this is actually one of the code that I would like to share. Not really a code, but it's just a say. Says that move you are scared to make might be the game changer. So if you already have the idea, you know that this is a problem faced by many people out there, but you're so scared enough to present, you're scared enough to share, you just keep it inside your notebook, such a waste. And so please remember, make the move. You have to present, you have to share, even though you will get feedbacks, you will get comments. Hopefully that is a constructive comment that will help you to develop your idea. Okay, so this is me, my journey. Okay, in 2018, I had joined this slice competitions. I mean, honestly say, during this time, I do not have any experience joining any competitions, etc. Okay, it's just me versus me lah. Okay, try to just fill up the forms whatsoever, and then just put what's the idea or the problems that I try to share, okay, during the competitions. Just try, okay. And alhamdulillah, okay, it's actually really a shock for me as the first timer to join the competitions, that I managed to get and secure a gold award. And for information to the VIP out there, normally in a competition, there are like number 1 to number 10 that will actually obtain the gold award. Okay, so basically I'm in the 7th place, but I got the gold award. And this is actually really triggered me to improve in terms of the ideas that I have actually came out with initially before I joined Slice. And I already tried in 2019 another one, with, of course, some improvements has been inculcated. I can share this, but it will take like maybe another 2-3 hours then, okay, or another coffee sessions. And what are the improvements I had done? Okay, so I joined another competition. And my point here is actually to encourage you VIPs, audience out there, that you, once you already have the ideas, please share and present them. Okay, and I already informed you there are lots of medium available out there. Competitions, pitching, you can join a debate, whatsoever. Okay. And then in 2019, at the end of the year, I'll join another competitions. But this one, I'll combine the ideas from my previous methods with my students' method. Okay, so we try to actually present this, and alhamdulillah, we got another gold award, and this time in the second place. Okay, so this is actually to show you that please share your ideas, okay? Present it, okay? Right? And in 2019, my colleague and I will join a very big competition, I should say. It's a Selangor R&D. Before this, we just joined UNISEL as well as UITM, etc. lah. Okay, but 2019, we make another move. We joined the Selangor R&D competitions, and we managed to get 5th place with 1,000 ringgit as well as certificates and trophy. Okay, so why you need to share? Why you need to share and present your ideas? Okay, I have 4 points here for you. Number one, it will definitely help you to foster the competitive advantage of your product. Perhaps like the, what we call it, smart thermos. In the beginning, you might think about, okay, I just want to solve the problems of not spilling on the laptop. But, okay, throughout sharing, you will actually later foster the other competitive advantage of your product. Believe me. And point number 2, it helps you to identify your niche market customers. So when you present the panel, I will share you in the next step, which is getting feedback. The panel that will judge you, okay, or the business owners, that whether they will be very attracted to your innovations or not, they will actually allow you to see, this is actually the market or the customers that I really want to tackle, not this one. Okay. And number 3 is actually to build the confidence in you. So when you just keep your idea inside your books, not notebook or thesis, just be there. But when you present and you share, it would help you to, this is the added advantage. It will actually build your confidence to present more, share more, okay, and develop more on your innovations. And number 4, this is honestly my personal view. It will definitely broaden your network, and it's an opportunity to meet people, to see your competitors sometimes, etc. All right, so basically, these are the innovations and my achievements. So far, as I told you earlier from the photos that I share, okay, number 1 is the, when I highlight on the carbon emissions through the iCompact year 2020, because the product that I have developed, the process that I have developed already get lots of feedbacks through the other competitions like the index, like the slice. So now I add another values where I highlight on the CO2 carbon emissions on the products as well as the processes. Okay, and during the IRIS, we highlight about the needs of retrofits on the commercial buildings, and then etc. Okay, which you can see here. Okay. And if you see the earlier, the first part, when I joined in slice 2018, I'll just highlight on one point, how can trees that you plant outside the building can help to cool your home. Okay, these are the things that I share with the panels during the competitions. Okay, so some of the tips during sharing and presenting your innovations, make sure you are good in breathing techniques. Okay, so these tips will be taught by the experts during the Bernas webinar. So make sure you join. Okay, and you need to make sure that you use short sentences, avoid bombastic words, because number 1, we don't have time to explain about the jargons, etc. So we try to make it very short and precise to the panels or as well as the business owner. Okay, number 3, communicate your idea clearly. And you don't go the other merry-go-round and then what is your idea actually? Okay, you straight away communicate your ideas. And number 4, avoid words like I think, I'm not so sure lah, panel, I just try. No, avoid all this. You must convince them that you are 100% sure about your innovations. Okay, step number 3, okay. Why getting feedback is very important? Why? Okay, look at the statistic. 73% of business respondents said that the hardest part of using data to drive innovations was finding reliable data. It's not easy. So when you attend any competitions, innovations, exhibitions, you join debates, pitching, you are actually, enjoying the advantage of getting the feedbacks from the experts. looks at the second statistic, 72% assessing the right people for feedback was actually a roadblock to innovation. So sometimes you already come up with the ideas, you already sketch the product, but you want to see who is actually your audience, who is actually your users. This is not easy. And 72% assessing to the right people, getting the right feedback is actually one of the roadblocks in innovations. So feedback is very essential to performances or output of your product. Feedback is a way to improve. And I had actually personally experienced this. It really helps me from one competition to another competition to another competition. There are lots of feedbacks that I'm able to jot down. It will keep allowing me to improve the planning parts for the process and methodology. And feedback is an opportunity to network and getting sponsored. Okay, so a photo that I share here in my slide is a panel from Yayasan Inovasi Malaysia. He was appointed to assess me in IRIS competitions, and just want to share with you at the end of the competitions, he gave me his card, say that, okay, Puan BIRKHA, if you and your students are ready and would love to develop this, contact me. Okay, so this is actually one of the way for you to get the opportunity to network and getting sponsored. Okay, another example I want to share, this is my collaboration with the industry. Okay, so during our presentations of the product, okay, panel were among the government representative. Okay, so we obtained valuable feedbacks on the next generation procurement system that is being developed through the collaborations with me and the industry. Okay, all right, remember this, VIPs, when you prepare, when you share and you're getting feedbacks from the panel and experts, always revisit your mind map again and again and again. Remember, the first draft is not perfect yet. You have to visit it again, revisit it again. And through this process of idea championing, you will actually obtain or gain a lot of infos for you to improve your mind map. Okay, again, these are the things, remember, when you present, when you prepare, when you get feedbacks, revisit all these points, which is actually inside the mind map that you have earlier developed it before you came out with the innovations. Conclusions, you have to start somewhere. Okay, you must be brave enough to present your idea. Mock presentations will help. Maybe you can just present in front of your friends or your supervisor first, or in front of the mirror. Be brave enough. Okay, prepare, share, and getting feedbacks are essentials to ensure the idea championing phase is a success. Okay, and always revisit your mind map to improve and finalize your idea. And join the Bernas journey for you to obtain all the knowledge and skill required in the idea championing. So I'm only just touch basis on the surface point, guys, through my experience. And how can you actually do that? How can you actually develop, gain knowledge and skill to do all the things that I have shared here is through joining the Bernas journey, because every workshop they will highlight, for example, breathing. How do you actually control your breathing? And selecting proper words, which word they will actually teach you throughout the Bernas journey, inshallah. Thank you for your attention. Off to you back, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, TS BIRKHA. I want to ask, how do we know that we have prepared enough based on your experience?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Lena?
How do we know we have prepared enough?
Okay, thank you for the question, Madam Moderator. We never know until we start. Okay, so you have to start somewhere, because if you would like to wait until your preparations or your idea is being completely developed, you never know. Think about this. Even the idea that has been in the market always get feedback from customer, right? This is not okay, this can be improved. Oh, I wish that this product can be improved this way. So these are the things when you get feedback. But before we meet the market, before we produce our product, okay, we try to cater as much as we can, so that when it reach our customers out there, it is almost completely prepared. Okay.
Thank you for giving such an informative and interesting presentations. to our student and YouTube viewers, if you have questions to our panels, you can ask directly in Zoom, or you may type your questions in the comment box. Okay, so we are going to the second topics, okay, on the implementations of the idea. Okay, so I will pass the sessions to Dr. CHUA.
All right, so thank you, Norliana. So can you all see my slides, or can you all hear clearly?
We can see that you have started the screen sharing, but nothing pop up.
Oh, okay. Nothing pop up. Okay, wait. Wait, is it something? Is it still there?
We still can't see it.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Wait, probably it's because of my slide sharing mode. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay. Can you see now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Can you see now?
No.
Not yet.
No. Okay, wait. I think something is wrong somehow. Wait. Let me start a new share. Okay. Okay, let me stop sharing. Now?
Now, okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let me go to full screen. Okay, so I think thank you very much to Quiz and UNISEL for inviting me to this particular session. I think a very good morning to Madam BIRKHA and the moderator, Norliana. Okay, so let me introduce myself. So my name is Choi Long. So I will be sharing my thoughts and views about implementation of innovations and creativity from the perspective of engineering, in terms of engineering design. So a quick one. So about myself, basically, I'm a graduate from UPM, from aerospace engineering, and I actually furthered my studies into control systems in the University of Sheffield, UK. And I also graduated with a PhD, okay, from engineering to social science. Okay, so I actually cross-disciplinary, interdisciplinary, where I actually studied into creative studies, creativity in specific creativity. So I'm very, very active in IEM as well as IMechE. IMechE stands for Institution of Mechanical Engineers. Okay, so just a quick one. So this will be my presentation outline for today. So I will start with the introduction. Then I will talk a little bit on the innovations and creativity and how is it linked to engineering design process, because we are going to talk about implementations here. Okay, implementing your creativity, how you're going to do it. That will be my first part of my presentation. Then in my second part, we will talk about the way forward and hopefully some end up with some sessions with Q&A sessions. So a quick introduction, why we need innovations and why creativity. Just a quick recap. So many countries around the world, many developing countries, Malaysia is one of it, we are actually moving away from production-based economy to knowledge-based economy. Okay, this is the fact. We are now moving away. We are not talking about production anymore. We are now coming up with designs. We are coming out with the solutions. We are now teaching others how to solve the problems. And because of that, okay, a lot of creative, innovative engineers are needed in the economy in our country. However, a lot of research has indicated the results that our engineering students are not really well equipped with these industry-focused soft skills, which is innovation and creativity. Okay, you can go and search a lot of engineering education journals and articles. Okay, so in 2006, okay, this is just one of it. Okay, for our graduates in engineering. some of the key survival skills, as you can see in this: critical thinking, problem solving, communication, as BIRKHA has mentioned, communication, whether is it oral or is it written, all the way down to, like you see that, creativity, innovations. These are critical survival skills for our engineering graduates. Without this, you will find it very hard to survive in this century, honestly. That's why this Bernas is here. Okay, and our engineering education in Malaysia, a lot of the core subjects, which is engineering design related, okay, engineering design related, is highly related to creativity and innovations. However, the word I would like to use here is unfortunately. This is a global issue, not just only in Malaysia. A lot of education systems around the world, not only in Malaysia, has not focused or has not emphasized enough on creativity and innovation. And there are a lot of research articles on this one. It is documented in the world. So that's where I come to the next part. What is creativity and what is innovation? A lot of people confuse between innovations and creativity. Okay, so let me talk about creativity first. In my generations, when we were kids, probably, okay, creativity was thought to be a divine gift. Oh, you are the creativity, like you can do this one, you can sketch all this. Then somewhere along the line in the 90s and in the early millenniums, okay, 80s as well, is we were talking about so-called thinking out of the box. It was a novel type of thinking. But after 6, 7 decades of research, it is now identified as one of the skills. It is a skill basically to to combine your ideas in a new way, in a new approach that is practical and novel. So it is a skill. Creativity is a skill. It is not a divine gift. It's not a gift by God. No. It is a skill that you can actually learn. Okay. All right. So in the many years of research, this guy called Rhodes in 1961, and this is very famous in the creativity, creative engineering, also called the creative field. If you've gone to and then see, this is the so-called the 4 Ps, okay, the 4 pillars of creativity. All right, so I will just go straight. So there are the 4 Ps of creativity. The latest one is 6 Ps already. Now this is the one that is still very much accepted. Okay, we have the so-called the person, the press, the product, and the process. Now, when we come to engineering, we are more focused on the process and the product. Okay, so I will not go into detail about the person as well as the press. So person, we are talking about the person's attitude, motivations, character, whereas the press is basically the impact of the environment, the surrounding of the person, the growth, the educational background, all these things that actually influence the person's creativity. So what about the next 2, which is the process and the product? So creativity or creative product, okay, we have 2 types of creative product. Okay, so when you in the future, when you work outside in the industries, whether you are in the engineering, whether you are in the management, whether you are in the design, like web design or product design, always remember this. Okay, we have 2 types of product. It can be tangible, something that is physical that you can touch on, or we can also have something that is intangible. Okay, that means something that is non-physical. And always remember, for a creative product, this one was developed by David Cropley in 2015. And David Cropley is basically an engineer, a professor in the Australian University, which is very, very nice. Now, when we talk about innovations, when we talk about creativity in our product, the first thing that always comes to the mind was talking about novelty. Now, that is the wrong concept I want to put here. The first thing, the most fundamental thing is effectiveness. Is our solution, is the product that we come up with, is able to effectively solve the problem, okay, or aim what it's supposed to do? If without this fundamental effectiveness of the product, any so-called strange ideas can actually come up, and you cannot consider that as a creative idea. You must be able to solve the problem with a high effectiveness. Then that idea is novel, new approach, new way. And the word elegance here is about your, what do you call that, the solutions, the product, the method, or the model that you come up with can actually give a so-called wow factor. A wow, how come I never thought of that? Wow, okay? So that is the so-called the elegance. And the last one is the most difficult to achieve, genesis. Genesis is where the product or the method or the model that you come up with basically provide a total different perspective or solve a problem or provide a new field of application that no one ever thought of. I'll give you one example. Our handphones, our smartphones. When the smartphones or the handphones was first developed, they have the keyboards where it was very difficult. Okay, difficult for elderly people. So then they have the touch screen. And when we have the touch screens, now we can use all the touch screens. So it solved one problem for the elderly people when they want to key in the button and choose the A, B, C, D, all these things. So what happened now with the touch screens? They are able to solve a lot of problems for not just only like using the keyboard, the things with the 9 or the 12 buttons. Now you can actually use it to do a lot of things, not just what they call it, solving the keyboard problem. You can use it to draw lines, even using your handphones with your stylus. So that is a genesis. You solve the problem and you actually open up a new perspective for drawing using your handphones. So that is genesis. Okay, so this is how a creative product is being defined. Then we talk about creative process. Now, creative process from one of the gurus. If you attended yesterday's session about creativity, Paul Torrance is definitely one of the key gurus in creativity. And he came up with these definitions. There are a lot of definitions, but this is the one that I love the most because it's applicable to everyone. It is a process of becoming sensitive to the problems, deficiencies, gaps, or knowledge missing elements, and then so on. Then you identify the solutions, difficult, coming up with your suggestions, and formulating hypotheses if you are from the social science. Then testing, retesting, okay, modifying all those things, and finally communicating, the word that I think Madam BIRKHA has mentioned. Share, communicate your ideas with the stakeholders. Then the whole thing is a complete process. It's a creative process. Okay, without this, communicating is not complete. Okay, that's why it's a process that is a very, very interesting. I really like these definitions. And is it important? Yes, from the perspective of 21st century engineers, it is needed in the process of designing the products, systems, services, or even just solving engineering problems. Okay, so what is innovations? What is the difference between innovations and creativity? So according to the Oslo manuals, the 4th edition, which is the 2018, so innovations can be actually categorized into two. It can be in terms of the process. Remember just now? Okay, the process, the creative process, this is where we comes into the creativity, okay? Creative process, and we talk about the activities, all the things. And it can be in terms of outcome. Now, outcome here, as I mentioned just now in the creative product, we have tangible, we have intangible. So you have methodology, models, okay, new business model, new method of research, doing research, or even systems. When we talk about complicated systems, control systems, for examples, okay, and even small products like your toothbrush or your toothpaste or even your detergent, everything can be product. And even services, the services that you provide to your customers, yes, it can be. So these are the so-called the product. So now you can see the relationship between the innovations and creativity. Okay, so these are how they are actually linked. And where does engineering comes in? Engineering design comes in here where you are talking about engineering design and you want to design all these things. You want to design a new model, you want to design new systems or product or a new services or a new activities in your department. It can be from there. All right, so again, when we talk about engineering and creativity, how they are linked. Okay, so what I always give this example to my students right now. Changes in the environment, okay, give a new needs to the society. For example, COVID-19, we are now in COVID-19. When COVID-19 first hit Malaysia last year, okay, so I'm sure that everyone still remember that time. Everyone was rushing to buy the PPEs, the 3-ply masks, the hand sanitizer. There was a havoc there. And that was the change. We were hit by the COVID-19. Suddenly, everybody was looking for PPE. We were looking, even our medical frontliners were actually lacking. I've seen the videos where our medical frontliners have to use the blue color dustbin plastic wrap around them. I was sorry to say, I was almost crying when I said I see the video that our medical frontliners were using the dustbin blue color plastic as a PPE. They've come to that stage. And then that caused a lot of problems in our medical frontliners. And engineers have to come and step in, and you see the case where our friend Dr. Ramas Yazi come up with a combat unit to protect our so-called medical frontliners doing the medical, let's say, investigations or testing, all these things. And that is the solution. At that particular time, we were hit by the crisis. Engineers have to come in and quickly solve the problem. Okay, so as you can see, we have a lot of engineering problems, complex engineering problems. It is really, really ill-defined. You do not have any ideas. Suddenly, when you have these things, there's no definitive solutions or unique solutions, like when you do your exercises in the classroom, 1 + 1 = 2. By the way, 1 + 1 is definitely not equals to 2 for confirmed. It can actually be different value. If you know the ideas of vector, 1 + 1 doesn't mean that it is 2. Okay, all right, so it requires a lot of in-depth knowledge. So I presume, I expect that you should be able to see that you really need to work with a lot of people from different backgrounds, okay? From the medical, from the engineering, from the materials, okay, from the electricals. All right, so to come up with a combat unit really requires a lot of knowledge of standards. And some of those requirements, the medical says that I need this, but the engineering says that, no, you cannot use this. You will jeopardize the integrity of the product of all these things. So there are a lot of things that you really need to go into that. And it involves a lot of diverse or different resources, definitely. So meaning to say, now engineers who are actually not just only equipped with your so-called technical knowledge, like how to use Creo or how to use SolidWorks or ANSYS to do your design or analysis. Now you need all the soft skills also, okay, in like creativity to generate new solutions, novel solutions, so that, okay, it really cater to the needs, cater to the problem. And these engineers are highly in demand, okay, when we talk about sustainable development, the UN SDG goals. This is where our former generation predecessors just design, build, but now we need to think about sustainable development with the latest COP26, we call it COP26, talking about the climate change, how we can come up with a product that is environmental friendly, low carbon footprint, all these things. So let's go into engineering design. So how engineering design comes into the play or in the, what we call that, the picture of creativity and innovations. And this is where the implementation phase are. Okay, so engineering design activities, students, VIPs, I'm sure that you have learned a lot on the engineering design. We talk about design using the software, looking at the what you need to design, the dimensions, all these things. These activities are highly related to innovations, but is it really limited to only design activities like using your software to design? No, it is not. It really involves a lot of wide range of activities. Okay, when you design your product, okay, mostly, okay, in the industries, it's just to improve with the target to improve the attractiveness. That means the aesthetic value. Okay, wow, this one looks nice. This one looks fantastic. And also we try to make simplified or ease of use in terms of the function. We try to improve these two significantly. We aim to do this. Now, these activities, please do not confuse with day-to-day production activity and quality control procedures that is already developed as innovations. They are not, because they are routine work. They do not really involve any innovations there. When we talk about wide range of activities, it involves like the one that was mentioned previously, problem identifications, idea generations. you really go out. Okay, I think Madam BIRKHA mentioned about getting the feedback, assessing one of the things that getting the right people. Okay, right people. Okay, so I give you one example that I actually used on my students. I asked my students, please design a new wheelchair. Okay, get the feedback from the users. So the students basically, when they want to get the feedback, you know who they actually approach? They approach their housemates, their roommates, their classmates, their friends from the same faculty. So when they come to me, so this is the feedback from the so-called from the market. Okay, so I ask them, who are these people? They said, this is my housemate, this is my roommate, this is my uncle, this is my auntie. So are you sure these are the right people that you actually get the feedback or the comment? They are not the end users. They are not the users. Okay. Who are the users of a wheelchair? OKUs, orang kurang upaya, elderly people, patients. So they all get the idea. Ah, yeah. Now you know. You have to target the right people, get the right thing done. Okay, do it the right way and get the right thing done. I was very impressed with two of my group's students. Okay, as I'm from University Tenaga Nasional, which is located in Kajang, and we are very close to our National Sports Council, which is in Bukit Jalil. Okay, there were two groups of students. You know who they went and looked for? They actually went and interviewed the Paralympians who are actually stationed in Bukit Jalil. Paralympians who are on wheelchair. So this is where the creative mind or the creativity that I want to get the right information. I want to get the right info, get the right feedback, and I want to design a wheelchair for our paralyzed athletes. Not just targeting for the OKU, but I want to do it for our paralyzed Olympians. So they were thinking, they're already thinking out of the box already. They were thinking like, something that is different for our Paralympians. So this is something that is different there already. Okay. All right. So when we talk about stages of engineering design, this is really, really relevant to the innovation value chain. Okay. So I'm sure that, okay, our VIP here basically probably are doing your FYP. So these are probably some of the stage that you will see here. You have done it, and I will use your so-called FYP or your project to actually link it up so that you can see what you are doing is correct. So when you are doing your FYP project, okay, it's basically a preparation for you to actually get as custom or get used to the what is practice in the market or in the industry. Problem identification, many people have touched on that, so I will just touch a little bit. So you identify the problems. Okay, what are the things? Things that you can actually collect is the feedback, as BIRKHA has said, feedback from the users, from journals, from articles, from your suppliers, from your vendors, get the feedback from them. And then you start to generate ideas. Okay, generate ideas. Now, even though these are in the so-called the first two stages, this is still work, this is still implementation. Okay, and these two are actually creativity-oriented work, okay, behavior. Then once you have your ideas, you prepare your proposals, you prepare your ideas, your generated ideas, and you try to promote it. This is where the presentations, your communication skills comes in. You need to do your presentations. So in terms of your FYP, you have done your literature review. That is where your problem identifications. Okay, I will link it to your FYP. So that is where your literature review comes in, your problem identification. You look for where are the gaps. Remember the creative process? You look for where are the gaps, where are the limits, or where are the problems. Then idea generation is where we talk about your chapter 3, your methodology. How are you going to solve your problem? How you come up with your ideas? What are the ideas available? Well, this is the first idea. This is the first sketch. This is my second sketch of the product. This is my third sketch. Ideas, come up with the ideas. So that is your chapter 3, your methodology. Okay, so that is your first part, probably your first semesters of your FYP. Then talking about idea promotions, I'm sure, okay, some university will have their so-called oral presentations or proposal defense. That is where your idea promotion comes in. You talk about presenting your ideas to your supervisors or to your internal examiners if you're doing master's or PhD. That is where your idea promotion comes in. you promote your idea, whether then you get your feedback from your supervisors, can take feedback from your internal examiners. Okay, you improve on this one, use a different methodology. Then once it is being approved, it's just like getting an approval to build your prototype, build your model, build your, what we call that, the methods or system that you're going to work on. That is where your implementation comes in. Now, implementation all involves here also, don't forget, it is not just only implementing, building your prototype, but the word implement also means that all these three things before that, you are actually working on those things. All right, so that is the idea. And if you see this engineering design, okay, all these things, okay, I would like to let you know that if you want to get your so-called professional engineers with Board of Engineers Malaysia, there's one part where you actually, through IEM, where you actually need to talk about how you innovate your engineering design, how you identify a problem, how you come up with a different idea, different method, different or modified from the current method, innovated, and then how you come up with your results, collect your results, and how is it different in terms of the effectiveness compared to other available methods already, that is benchmark. So these things is a key requirement in getting your professional engineering, or even in the UK, chartered engineer. These are the key competencies in getting your chartered engineer or as well as your professional engineer. One of the key competencies is this. Okay, so that's why in your FYP project, you have these things there. Is something like a preparations for you. You learn this, you are exposed to this one already. Okay, so problem identification, we have talked, the previous sessions has talked a lot on this one, so I will just go and touch and go. It's basically trying to identify the root cause of the problem. Okay, one of our previous speakers talked about the industry people giving you the symptoms, but they don't tell you what is the root cause. That happens a lot in the industries. So there are many ways you can use the tools to identify the problem. I'll give you three here. This is just some of the tools: Pareto charts or analysis, fishbone or the Ishikawa diagram, 5 whys. So I'm a professional interviewer for the chartered engineer for the UK, and I interviewed one of my candidates who is a Malaysian mechanical engineer working in Russia, in one of the Russia power plant. Okay, power plant in Russia. So he shared in his project, okay, he used fishbone diagram to identify a problem that happened in his power plant, where we all know that Russia is basically very cold during the winter time. And if you have sudden blackout, okay, blackout, that means you have no electricity, your heater doesn't work, it will really, really affect the households. And it happened to his power plant. Every winter time, there will be a downtime pump, there will be a problem, they had to shut down the power plant. And they use the fishbone diagram to, okay, this is the thing, this is what happened, this is the power plant, okay, there was a, what we call it, the propeller for the turbine. There was a problem with the turbine there, and then to, let's say, for the airflow, because it was a power plant, then there was a heating, and then they need a propeller to do the cooling by sucking inhaling all that cold air from the environment to cool down the turbine. Okay, so it happens that every winter time the turbine will have a dent, okay, bengkok here, and then it affects the airflow very much, and then the turbine got overheated. They have to shut down, they have to change the turbine. So they use the fishbone diagram to actually, what happened here? What is the root cause? What is the thing? They identify that is because of the snow outside of the power plant, and then because the snow was sucked into the air duct, and then ice will form. Then that's where they find out, okay, ice will form, they had to do, and then when the ice broke off, hit the propeller, and the propeller bengkok, and then the whole airflow. So they use this one to solve the problem, all these things. Okay, and in terms of the idea generations, this is where we talk about convergent and divergent. So convergent thinking and divergent thinking. Divergent, we are talking about coming up with a lot of ideas, not just only one. I'll give you one example. Probably, maybe some of you can actually tell me. Okay, how can you travel from KL to Singapore? I asked my students. Maybe some of you can try. How can you travel from KL to Singapore? Anyone?
Flights.
Flights? Yes. Apart from that, anyone? Okay.
Berkha would like to answer something.
Yes. Okay,
There
I
is
saw
one
that.
student answer there, yeah.
Bus. Okay. All right. Okay, I see 3 answers there already. By flight, okay, that means you can take KLIA or KLIA2 Air Asia. You book a flight, Masker, Air Asia from KLIA1 to KLIA2 and then all the way to Changi Airport. That is one, you see. Then you can take a car. If you have a car, yeah, why not drive all the way down to Singapore? Yes. Third one, you can go to last time Pudu Raya, now I'm not so sure, maybe Bandar Pasir Selatan already. Okay. And take a bus. Have you ever thought of KTM? Yes, you can take a train down to.
Yes, that one is another alternative.
Yes. Okay. If you have the money, if you have the luxury, okay, not now, COVID-19, you can take a cruise, Star Cruise, from Port Klang all the way to Singapore. Why not? As yesterday, one of the speakers, take a different route. The normal route that you take from your house to the campus or to the college. Sometimes take a different route. Take a different route and then you will see different things. Okay, you will see different things. Think of other methods. I once saw, because I'm working in Kajang, and I usually travel. I travel from Kajang to Seremban where I stay. To my surprise, one day I saw a Mat Saleh on the highway hitchhiking. Hitchhiking. He's on his way to Singapore. I said, I cannot help you to Singapore lah. As far as I can help you until Seremban. So he was in the near the Nilai toll there already. So I dropped him off. Hitchhiking. So that is probably another way. If you are a tourist, you are out of money. Why not? Okay, so there are many ways. So as you can see here, come up with a lot of ideas. One of the things that you can use is mind map. Okay, as Madam BIRKHA has shared, a lot of ideas, and then from those ideas you benchmark it to the standards. Okay, the professional standards. Okay, and then see the technical availability, whether do we have the materials here, do we have the technical ability to do these things, and then strike out those that we cannot achieve, make the choices. So it's very important that you actually separate convergent and divergent thinking, come up with all those different things before you come up. Just say, I just travel by car, I just travel by bus, or you can actually take train. Okay, so a lot of ideas. So Madam BIRKHA has shared with you the mind maps. Okay, so those with probably heard the name Edward de Bono with the 6 thinking hats. Okay, this is another method. Morphological diagram or morphological analysis. This is another method. Scamper, our yesterday's speaker from Makri shared this one, Scamper. Yes, another. Okay, brain sketching. This is another interesting. This is, we heard the word about brainstorming. Now from there, they have the so-called brain sketching and brain writing. In fact, we have more than 24 of creativity, idea generation skills, synaptics, attribute listings, okay, mind map. These are just some of it. You just have to use those. Many more. So when we talk about idea implementations, okay, these are the things, the normal things that you see in project management. The 5 phases, I tell my students something. The 5 phases: initiation, planning, execution, monitor, and control, and then close. Now, this is applicable when your idea or your product is already mature, then you can use this one, okay? And there will be times when if it's a long project, then you will have the so-called here, you will have the initiation, the planning, the control, monitoring, control, and close. Then you have this is the first part where you do a feasibility studies, whether is this possible. Okay, this is a normal practice, some of the normal practice in the big companies out there. Feasibility study, and then you start to plan for the big project, design the thing, develop the thing before you release the thing. The 5 phases that you see just now in the previous were actually in here. Now, this is applicable if the product that you are working on, the thing that you are working on is already mature? What if the thing that you are working on is not a mature, is something that you cannot benchmark on, there's something that is not really available yet? You can't use this because it will take a long time, 2, 3, 5 years down the line. Then you need something called what we call as the creative workflow. Now, this creative workflow basically is still very infant stage. I would like to say it's very infant stage. Not many people really, there's no like defined way you have the project management. Okay, no, it really depends on the type of work that you are working on, the project that you are working on, but generally it will cover these few things like where you define your goal in general, and then you start to create your plan, your idea, your sketches, or your, what do you call that, the planning, who will be on the team, your objective, all these things. Then the third one would be develop and adjust. You develop your prototype. Okay, straight away you develop your prototype and adjust according to your standards, all these things. And then you get your so-called buy-in from your department or from your, what do you call that, your potential customers. Okay, and then you try to finalize. Once they give you the feedback here, and then you try to finalize from there, work your way in and out and finalize your prototype and then send to your potential customers if this is okay or not. Okay, so you will see that it is iterative. It's not like one way, it will be iterative one. And then when the customers or your owner of your project finds that, okay, we can accept this one, this is a green light, we can go, and then you launch the whole thing, and then you can close the project. Okay, so this is a creative work. It's not like the one that you see just now previously. Not like this anymore. You can't. It's very different already. Okay, so there are many other ways. This is another way, longer steps. You identify the problem, you develop the goals, okay, gain the support from the sponsors if you have, okay, that is like submitting your proposals. And once it's approved, okay, come up with a detailed plan, okay, risk management, risk identifications, any potential risk, secure all your resources, whether is it the technicians or is it the equipment or the materials, okay, form your teams, all this. This is just one of it. There are many other workflow, okay, many other workflow. So this is just one of the types, okay. So I think with that, okay, so I think with that, I come to the end of my presentations. So this is where, okay, I pass back to the moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Chua. When you talk about engineering design activities, I believe there's limitations currently faces by the students or maybe by the academicians. Okay, so that one is actually in our next topic, which is the challenges and value of operational phase in the innovation value chains. Okay, for the third sessions, I believe that Dr. Chua will touch again maybe on the technical parts. So over to you, Dr. Chua.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let me go on to my parts, my slides. Okay. Okay, so can you see the slide now?
Yeah.
Okay, so my next presentation is about the way forward. I want to call it the way forward because we need to really identify the challenges. So since our VIP today are students, so let me start with the students first. Okay, so the challenges faced by the students most of the time that over my over 20 years of about 20 years over 20 years in the academia. Okay, engineering students or most of the students are required to follow rigid steps. That means you must step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's very rigid already to solve the problems. Okay, it's not like, okay, 1 step A plus B plus C plus D, then only you get A. Can you try to solve it in a different way, like C plus D plus A plus B get E? Can you try to solve it in different ways? No. This is a problem with our students. It's something like too rigid in their mind. They cannot, okay, accept flexibility. Then the second part, okay, is where we talk about the students are afraid to take criticism from others. Okay, so I think Madam BIRKHA has shared a very nice point that getting feedback from our industry or getting feedback from others, even though it is a criticism or this thing cannot work, take it, okay? And you take the feedback and then you go back and revisit your mind map, revisit whatever the tool that you use and put it in. Accept that kind of criticism. Take it positively, don't take it negatively. Don't take it negatively, right? Stereotype. Okay, this is very bad. Student tends to stereotype their peers, their classmates. This person cannot lah, from the looks, this person tak boleh lah, that person tak boleh lah. I don't expect him to do this. No, you can't. Okay, some people may be good at this, but bad at the others. You must be able to look at the good part of the person. Okay. Self-esteem. Yeah, some people will have a very poor self-esteem level. And the one key thing that I see in a lot of students is their unwillingness to think. Unwilling, they just, sir, I do this one only. Sir, can I give you one solution only? Can I give you this one only? Can I give you this one only? They are not willing to think outside of so-called outside of the box. Okay, so this is the challenges the students face nowadays, and how to actually overcome this. Okay, now I want my students, or at least the VIP here today, to go back and think, to choose to be creative. Okay, try to see the things in a different perspective. Okay, a different perspective. So let me, a very simple example. What do you see here? Maybe from here you see my handphone, you see the white color, but from my perspective, I'm only seeing this. I'm seeing this. I don't see the screen. It's a very simple example. From your perspective, the audience perspective, you see my screen, or now it's black color, everything. But from my perspective, I'm seeing pure white and camera. So we will have a different perspective. When we have different perspective on the team, it gives you the room for creativity. Okay, it gives you the room for creativity already. And use that to harness and leverage on your internal and external factors to be creative. You may have something different from your friends. You look at it, as yesterday on one of the speakers, I like the idea of the force connection. Okay, when you talk about shoes and you talk about makan, how can you do that? And then suddenly you have a cake that is on the shoes. That is something different. Okay, right, then big egos kills the creativity. This is the thing. A lot of students, I'm a 4 flat students lah, I will be better than you lah. This is ego. Okay, I learn from my students. Trust me, I learn from my students. My students we are from the generations that hardly use scientific calculators. My students teach me how to use a scientific calculators. Last time we used to study using buku sifil. Maybe Madam BIRKHA, maybe you will know what is buku sifil. Okay, we learn. When my student teach me, sir, this is the latest Casio calculator. This is how you learn. I learn from my students. Don't be ego. Okay, I learn from them. Okay, and embrace creativity. Okay, embrace creativity. Right. So the thing I want to know, students, when they come to my class, okay, use imagination. Okay, come up with a lot of ideas, and thoughts can be freely expressed. No cost. You can think anything under the sun. Okay. No barriers, no restrictions. You can just sketch anything that you want when you design your thing, or any flow charts, how you want your flow charts to be. Okay, how silly the ideas, it is still an idea. Okay, maybe we don't have the technology yet, but 20 years down the line, 50 years down the line, when the technology is matured, who knows? It's something there already. We have no idea when the technology is mature enough and we can do it. It can be something that is very, very possible in the future. Now, I will share this one with the students as well. Employability. Now we talk about employability. What the employers really, really look for. Communication skills. How convinced you are able to convince your stakeholders, the person who is going to actually buy your ideas. Is there any so-called eye contact, body language, all these things? So I've seen a lot of engineers, when I do the professional interviews, they will actually, when I ask them to do a presentation about themselves, they were actually reading from the slides. There was no eye contact. There was no eye contact. How? You are a senior engineer. How come you cannot do a simple presentation or a proposal? They can't. They were actually reading from the slides. Even some lecturers, our professors still do that, honestly. Positive attitude. Okay, you may have some what we call that, obstacles, difficulties along the way. Be positive. Okay, I'll give you one example. James Dyson, we all know the Dysons, okay, the vacuum cleaner or Dysons. You know how many times he attempted until he managed the one that he broke through? He attempted 2,000 overtimes until he got the one that he wanted. Okay, positive attitude. Teamwork. Gone are the days where we can work solo, we can work in silo. No. Now with this COVID-19, we are now have to work, okay, we cannot travel from here to another. We are going to work with engineers from Japan, we are going to work with engineers from, let's say, Singapore, or even UK, or even Australia, or China, or maybe. We are actually working as a team, okay? And you cannot just say, I work on my own, I don't care about others. No, teamwork, okay, teamwork. And you must be willingness to learn from, even from your, not just from seniors, but also from your juniors. They might have a different idea that is totally groundbreaking. Resilience, okay, I don't need to talk much about resilience. Self-management, discipline, this is your discipline. Learn to adapt to new technology, new changes, new environment, things like what is happening in COVID-19. Suddenly you have a new SOP, all these things, and learn all the thinking skills. We are talking about creative thinking now, computational thinking, critical thinking, design thinking. These are skills, okay? These are skills already. All right, so how do you develop? Yeah, I will always tell my students, curricular activities and volunteer work. And in the community, there's something called the service learning already, if you understand. Okay, learn to serve the community, and then you get to know different perspective, even though it is from the engineering, but you can actually learn a lot. Okay, and serve as a committee. I tell my students in the club, why? When you organize activities, then you will start to know what is project management, how you organize, and then how you write your proposals, how you come up with the budget. That is something like it's exposure to you already. You know how to organize activities. All right. Join in social networking events like Madam BIRKHA mentioned just now. Network. You go and attend competitions. You go and attend workshops, seminars. Build your networking. This is the advantage that you will have, because you are not the only graduates graduating. But before you even graduated, you are already building your network, and then you get your input. I have one student, civil engineering students, okay, and he worked on a wind turbine, okay, wind turbine to filter. Usually wind turbine is used to generate electricity, okay. He designed a wind turbine to filter air, polluted air. So he searched on the information on that, and he was actually able to communicate with one of the engineers from Europe, Germany. And he brought this design, and he actually went for a competitions, and he emerged champion in the Southeast Asia level, and then he went for the international level, where he competed with engineers from around the world, okay, to showcase his idea. Okay, it was a presentation competition, and he showcased it. And you know what? One of the judges was the one who actually he contacted in Germany. He didn't know that that guy is one of the judges. So this is where the power of social networking. Okay, he didn't know that, and the work that he get the feedback from that engineer, and he changed, he did all the modifications, and when he presented his idea, okay, the judge that he actually just by using emails, they never actually met face-to-face online, because it was pre-COVID-19. It was in 2018. And that judge, after the competition, I know you because I am the one whom you contacted. I'm from Germany, and then from this company. I know you because I see the thing that you actually improve on the thing of the what they call that, the things I asked you to improve, and then from there you actually build the small prototype, and I like your ideas. Yeah, this is how you actually work. Okay, and one of the most important thing, willing to move out of the comfort zone, really. Okay, now academics, okay, we still find old ways of teaching and learning is still applied, and this is what I said. saint on the stage. I am a so-called saint. I'm a saint on the stage, and I'm right, always right, or something like that. We still have some lecturers like that. We still have some academics. We really need to work for academics, really need to work on how we can actually encourage or guide the students to be more proactive. Not to say that spoon feeding them. No. You have to guide them. Okay, you take this, you do this, and try to see whether all these things student-centered. Now, for the industries and the IHLs, the first problem, the challenges is always the limited funding. Resources, do we have the right person? Do we have the right personnel? Do we have the right equipment? Communications issue in the industries, project manager, they will always look at KPIs, how much we can save in terms of quantifiable amount, how much we can earn, how much we can in numbers. But for creative people, for engineers, or what they call that, web designers, okay, web designers or product designers, they are looking at qualitative, and they were trying to solve the thing out of the box. They don't really look at the quantity. And this is the communication issues. Absence of historical data and best practice. I think this one, Madam BIRKHA has already touched on this one. There are a lot of situations where we cannot get the feedback. We do not have the prehistorical data. We do not have the data and how the thing, when this is something new in the market, we have no prehistoric data. And that's where your customer feedback is very important. You need to go and get this one. Okay. Unrealistic client expectations. And this one, I think Dr. Rahmat has shared in one of his slides. The customer just want this one, and then the management say, this is the one that is one. Okay, the technician say, this is a different thing. And then towards the end, we have different interpretation of the expectations. Okay, lack of understanding. And sometimes it is really unrealistic. Okay. Creative environment. Sad to say, a lot of our so-called working environment, a lot of companies still doesn't really have this kind of creative friendly environment. A lot. If you look at our schools or universities, our classrooms are like 100-year-old or 200-year-old classroom environment, where the desks and where the chairs are arranged like, if you look at the black and white pictures in the 18-somethings or even the early 19-somethings, it's still the same arrangement. It's still the same thing. We need to have the environment that is creative friendly and managing upcoming changes. Gone are the days that you see these technologies will appear, new technologies will appear 5 years later, 10 years later. Now, every day you have new technology coming in. Every day, new technology, new challenges, new changes. This is where we need to really update ourselves. And how to do that, okay? From the perspective of funding and opportunity resource, we have to really search for alternative. For academicians, don't just rely on FRGS, don't just rely on PRGS. No. You have to look for international fundings or from NGOs, from institutions. Communication skills, this is a must also, okay? CPD, continuous professional development. Even for graduates, after you finish your graduates, you need to continue to get the latest updates. These two are actually very related. Update the latest trend, the latest knowledge, the latest SOP, the latest standards. Okay. Be creative, yes. Learn the creativity, learn the different type of skills. And when you come to a certain point in your career, when you are in the managerial positions, okay, you may become a project manager, you may become a head of department or something like that. Show some empathy to your staff who are actually trying to be creative, okay, who are trying to come up with different ideas. Don't shoot them down immediately, their ideas. Don't shoot them down. That is a very good thing. You see this one, okay, how we can actually work out this, show empathy on that. Okay, so I will just finish off my presentation. This is always the slide that I share with my students at the end of my session, okay, semester. It is the extra effort that actually distinguishes us from the others. So why limit ourselves? The extra things that we do outside of our classroom or outside our class, okay? Why limit ourselves? Do the extra things, learn the extra skills or efforts or things. And this is another quote that I like the most. To do the impossible, challenging ourselves. To do the impossible is where my faith begins. Okay, my confidence, my faith begins. Okay, I think with that, I come to the end of my presentation. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shaw. Dr. Cho, I want to ask something.
Yeah.
Previously, you already mentioned about the novelty and the effectiveness. So me as an academician, I can see that when there's a student symposiums or the international conference, okay, the first thing that outside us is about what is your novelty about your research, but lack in terms of the effectiveness. Okay, what you can comment about that?
In terms of what? Sorry, the last part.
Most of the outsider ask about what is the novelty of your research, but lack of them asking about the effectiveness.
Ineffectiveness.
Yes. So
Okay.
academicians more focus on about what is your novelty? What's your novelty? So I can see that during postgraduate presentations and also in the undergraduate presentations.
Okay, so so this is the gap where the industry and the academia is. Honestly, this is where the gap, because industry, they are actually focused on profit. Honestly, they are actually looking at profit, how they solve the problem. They have this problem, and then they have this, they tell you this. Academia, industry, universities, okay, the problem is they are really go to the fundamentals. Okay, the fundamentals, they try to solve the fundamentals problem. And the industry, they look at the applications. Where is the application? So if I were to say that I designed this one, I will use this one in these applications. But they don't realize that, okay, in order for us to solve this problem, we need to go back to the fundamentals.
Yes.
The fundamentals. You have to let them know the fundamentals. To solve this one, I cannot use this equation. I need to modify this equation, then I can only solve this. Something like that. So this is the problem that industries, they don't understand the fundamentals. So that is the gap. So in order to answer your questions, this is something that I think the institutions of higher learning have to really look into, how you bridge the gap between the industries. Because as I mentioned, industry, they look at quantifiable things. Okay, things like how to solve this, what is the efficiencies. Okay, where is the novelty? How is this? Like I give you the example of the handphone already. When they solve the problem of the keypad, they actually look into solving the problem of actually you can use this to draw, you can use this, and this is something that is really different already. Using the touchscreen, you can use it. Okay, but in order for you to solve the problem of the keypad and the touchscreen, you need to go back to the application. You need to do about the design part. You need to convert. You need to rewrite your programs. All these things, right? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. The programming part, you need to develop the app, you need to develop the programming, all these things, and you have to go back. And then the industry people from, let's say, from the management background, they don't understand the programming. They don't understand the sensors, the actuators, they won't know. Okay, so that is where really we have to look, and from the perspective of the industry, we have to really put ourselves in their shoes. Okay, we can be from the very fundamental. We need to write this. We need to write the code. We need to do all these things. But the industry, hey, how do you solve this? I want to remove the keypad only. They don't understand that you need to write these things. Okay, these people in the industry, they may be project manager. They can be coming from the business background. You ask them to write engineering code using JavaScript or using, they have no idea. Okay, so that is the problem.
Thank you, Dr. Cho,
Okay.
for your answers. Okay, I will let the floor to Madam BIRKHA, okay, for the fourth sessions on the challenges and value of operational phase in the innovation value chains. Over to you, yes, BIRKHA.
Okay, thank you very much, Liana. Very interesting sessions with Dr. Chua indeed. So what I will do is I will not wrap up yet, but I will also share some of the points on the challenges and values of innovations. So can you guys see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, yeah. Okay. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, thank you very much for all the attendance. I can see VIPs coming in. All right, so let's have a look at the challenges and values of innovations. But before that, let's go through this together. So when we say idea champions, it is actually a wholeheartedly belief. As I highlighted earlier in my previous slide, in previous sessions, if you don't really believe what you want to present, so you are not actually in the phase or in the mode of idea champions yet. So if you still feel like agak-agak, I'm not so sure yet, perhaps you present to your colleagues or your supervisors or whatsoever before what I can say that the matured phase is ready. Okay, so idea champions is really when you have wholeheartedly believe in the idea that they are propounding. In other words, you really want to put forward for considerations already. Even though, as I told you earlier, you need feedbacks. Feedbacks needs to be obtained through the process. But it is like consider ready, matured, okay, where you want to put forward. Okay, so they are actually essential because new ideas typically face a lot of opposition. Confirm, you will actually receive feedbacks. Either it will be constructive or maybe someone will say, we don't need this. We already have the solution. But why you are so busy doing this? Okay, you will get all these things throughout the idea champions. Whether it is an aversion to risk or simply inertia. Sometimes people will say, I don't like I don't like your idea. It's like not a brilliant idea at all, something like that. Or maybe people will say, later lah, we consider this. Maybe later we'll need it. Okay, so top management may reject new ideas. Okay, so when you are doing idea champions, relax. You have fully believed it, right? But you must bear in mind, people will give you either constructive comments or people will reject, people will say later lah, okay? All right, so this is actually part and parcel of idea champions. So don't feel like so demotivated. Okay? For any idea to break through the resistance, especially for the engineering student, you know the resistance can be very tough, okay? But you must ensure that at the end of the process, it must go through the resistance. Okay, so you have to break through the resistance. How? It needs a champion who will drive it. Okay, the way you say it, the words that you're going to use it, and your persona, all those things where you will learn through the Bernas seminar. Okay, it will actually help you to drive your idea or innovation. Sorry, idea champions also tend to be aware of the market. So make sure before you present, before you say that I highly believe that this is needed, you have done your market survey, okay? And value proportions, where this is needed. I remember there is a product manufactured by my previous company that I work with, okay? Earlier, we tried to capture the market of the very high niche only. But when the competitor starts to tackle the middle market and the lower end market, so we start thinking, in order for us to survive, in order for us to sustain the profits, we cannot only capture the high niche market. Okay, so we start looking into the very low niche. In my previous company where I work with a welding machine manufacturer, so the low niche market is considered like workshop, people that is working on the grill services, and okay, so these are the proportions of the market that you have to cater if you want to cater it. So please, before you do the idea champions, you must be really aware of the market and value proportion of your idea. Okay, it lends credibility and provides for clear ownerships at the initial stage. So once the idea champions influence the decision maker, okay, they already like macam, wow, it's an eye opener. We need your product and the change can be initiated. So this is actually when you reach from idea championing phase to the idea realizations or implementation phase. So some quotes, okay. Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. This is actually an African proverb. In other words, through my experience, and I do believe that if you talk or you have a chat with any successful innovators out there, they will say that I have to accept the challenge. So you cannot just say that you sketch things and then you just go to any company or business owner, say, do you want this? You are not going to secure. So you need to actually accept the challenge. So another quote, we don't grow when things are easy. So bear in mind to do the idea championing until your innovations or your idea reach the end customers. It's not easy. Okay, so we have to grow when faced challenge, and then only we keep thinking, we keep revisiting our initial plans, etc. Okay, so what are the challenges? Number one, I'll just make it short because Dr. Chua has covered almost a lot of points from this different perspective, like students, IHL, industries, etc. Okay, number one, business viability. So if you're talking about risk, definitely there is a risk. So if you think that your product or idea is risk-free, okay, bye-bye. Okay, you are not actually in the IVS challenge. So it is risky. Maybe people will need it just for 3 months, or maybe when it goes to the market for the first 6 months, you have to do marketing, etc. Only people can accept that. So it is risky. Okay, higher powerful willpower to convince people. This is what you will learn in Bernas seminar about how to convince, and not only through the seminar, but you have a private sessions with the experts. Okay, so things that I can recall is how you put your slides to capture the attentions of your stakeholders, the words that you use, your body language, okay, etc. Okay, people desirability, it requires support, definitely. You require from the down top support. I mean, your top management have to support you. You need budget, or you need other experts to make your innovations materialize. Maybe like my what we call it, my background is electrical. In order to make sure that the methodology or the services that I want to come out with, I require civil engineers, architects, homeowners, etc. in order to support. Okay, and the technical feasibility. So like you need the fundamentals, backgrounds, you need the software perhaps, all those things. These are the challenges that you have to face in order to ensure that your ideas or your products is being championed. Okay, what are the values? Okay, the values, when you have reached to the idea implementation, inshallah, in terms of profits, because people is actually looking forward, like the ventilator machines. Last time, maybe the order is just hundreds or thousands, but when COVID hits, the orders is coming like water flow, and okay, people is waiting for it. Okay, so in terms of profits, if you get your idea or innovations out there to the market, profits inshallah will come together with it. Okay, and in terms of copyright of ownership, this is actually one of the value emerged from innovation, as well as customer satisfactions. Right? Remember the example that I showed you earlier? The what we call it, smart tumbler. It's just a tumbler where you use it to put your coffee in and drink, but customers really feel satisfied because if they hit it or whatsoever, then the water will not spill. Safe, right? So customer will be very satisfied if this is actually one of the values come from innovation. Okay. So let's look at this example again. So it is actually a better product, or from innovation, you can come up with a better process. Like Dr. Chua already mentioned, instead of just taking one way or one part of traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Singapore, you can actually recommend or get another way of doing it. All right, so value come up from innovation. Inshallah, it will be a better product process for the better world. It is solve existing problems. Example, the hot coffees will spill on your laptop, whatsoever. It will solve it through this innovation. Okay, it provides competitive edge that business try to achieve. I mean, when you are in business, you cannot just stay like that. I'm not sure whether VIPs, you are aware of Blackberries. This was one of the handphone that is very popular back then. But after that, the competitive edge of BlackBerry has been what we call it overweight by the Android, by the Samsung, iPhone, etc. Okay, so being in business, you have to continuously find competitive edge, or what is actually niche, what is so special about your products, and this is how we survive in business. Okay, empowerment and value of innovation change is a strong team. So if your company really have this culture, innovations culture, always work in a team, they organize seminars or workshop in order actually to empower teamwork. So this will actually help in terms of empowering the strong team in a company. Or I mean, if in a university, or if you're a group of students doing something, I mean, you guys will feel this kind of teamwork in you when you actually doing the innovations and risk-taking culture. We don't want VIPs, futures innovators, futures engineers out there to be like, I'm not a risk taker. Okay, I'm not sure whether this product is going to be working well. I'm not sure whether this product will be accepted by the market out there. Just keep it lah. I mean, I'm done. Okay, we don't want this. We want you guys to take a risk, because this is actually one of the elements in innovation. Right? If you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. So if you continue to do what you do today, then the outcomes will not be superb. You should see that. Okay, I know it sounds corny, but I love to improve people's life, especially socially. So I do believe not only engineering students, but other program students, most of the elements that is been inculcated in the program is helps the community, helps the environment, right? So in other words, you guys are being shaped to improve people's life. So this is actually part of the innovation that you should think of. I'm innovating something so that my family, my friends, the unfortunate people, my community will actually benefit from it. Okay, I would like to leave you guys with this things. Climate change has been the driver, and there is a genuine political appetite for change. Now we see clients asking for zero energy, zero carbon buildings. So younger architects used to get jobs because they know about computers. You guys know this. Nowadays, I think in the next 5 years, or maybe 10 years, I'm not sure. Whoever that have this computer skill, programming, IT, there are like what we call it as high demand people, can. Okay, but the next generation will get jobs because of the needs to understand passive house. I mean, other words, whatever that you innovate, starting from today, now on, please think about environment. Please think about conserving energy. So whatever it is, if you are civil engineers, if you are architect, if you are biotechnological background people, even your IT people background, can. So think about this, because the next generations, after all these computers, IT's driver, the next generation will get job because they needs to understand the passiveness. And if you Google what is passive house, it is something that whatever product that you come out with, you have to think about the energy saving. You have to think about environment. Okay, so this is actually a Steve Johnson recently that I read from a magazine, been released in November 2021 recently. So think about it, okay, not to say that IT is not good, computer engineering is not good. No, you have to learn that, because currently that's actually drive the nation, the world. Okay, everything is actually on electronics, okay. So everything is IT, everything is mobile. But think about this, whatever you are doing, think about the energy saving, okay? So till then, thank you very much. I end up my presentation slide.
Thank you, TS Berkha. We have a question from our VIP. So let me read the questions. It comes from VIP from UNISEL. Hi, Afiq. I will read in Bahasa Melayu first and I will translate into English since we have VIPs from international. Okay, the question from Hairi Afiq. Sejauh mana kita nak terima komen dari assessor mengenai projek kita? So the question is how far we can accept the comment from the assessor or the evaluator about the research project. So I think I'm going to pass that question to Dr. Chua to answer. Dr. Chua, I think you are muted.
Right, so can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Okay, so the question I think is meant to sejauh mana kita nak terima komen dari assessor mengenai projek kita kan?
Yes.
Okay, so I totally agree with Madam Berkha's point of view. You will have to get your comment from every part of your stage. Okay, every part. But initial part, you will have feedback, assessors. Okay, you, like for example, you want to define even within your team also. Okay, within your team, they will give you the feedback. Okay, I do this one. Do we have to have an additional objective or additional goals or things like that? And then when you have your ideas already, then you need to get your feedback from your supplier, because let's say your vendors or your supplier or even your contractor or subcontractor, in the case of, let's say you're designing a green building. If you do not get the feedback, okay, for your project, okay, be it industrial project or research project, you do not get the feedback from your supplier or your contractor or your vendor, whether is this viable, is this doable or not, okay? Remember the first session by Robert Wong, Dumb's idea. The first thing is what? Doable. Doable. That is the feedback. Is this doable or not? Okay, if it is not doable, then we have to think of something else. And then when you come to your, they call that your implementation phase, you start to build a prototype, then you still have to get the feedback on and off. And the feedback can be from your potential, like when there's certain industries, they will have their prototype and then they will have the so-called the tests. Okay, test kit or something like for the users to test out, okay, give the format from, okay, how do you find this prototype or how do you find this? For example, okay, for cars manufacturers like Proton, all these, when they have a model, they want to launch a new one. So they will, at every stage, they will have feedback here. And then when they have the prototype already, they will have their so-called their staff or their top management to use the prototype cars. Okay, so can you drive? So let's say the GM, for example, the GM, can you drive? Okay, so I have, let's say, Proton Saga version 1, Proton Saga version 2, Proton Saga version 2. So they will continue to drive these cars and then give the feedback, even though with the prototype developed already, they still have to get the feedback from the potential users. Okay, assessors, not just only assessors, users also. How do you find this car? How do you find this tool? How do you find this method? How do you find these systems, things, before you can really launch it out? Okay, so you will have spent time or money on building the prototype. After you launch already, after you have launched already, you still have to get the feedback from your so-called end users. Okay, so these are different categories of assessors, you know, different category. It can be from within your institution, it can be from outside of your institutions. How far can you go? You can go very far. You can go very deep. It really depends on the project. Okay, so that is my answer, basically.
Thank you, Dr. Chua. Okay, so all the 4 sessions actually has been discussed by our panels. So I think I will let Madam Birkha to wrap up and then followed by Dr. Chua.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Norliana. Okay, in order to wrap up, let me just add a little bit on Khairi Afiq questions. How far we should actually accept the comments from the panel or assessor. I mean, my point is, okay, I suggest revisit when you receive the comments from the panel's assessor, revisit your mind map. Okay, so let's say the assessor said that this one is too expensive. I think when you market it, people is not going to be affording it. revisit that, your mind map, okay, because we have cost as one of the elements in our mind map process. So this is actually the things. If you ask me, I accept everything, okay, because you take it and then you map to all the elements that you have earlier mapped in your preparations of the innovations. So every single feedback is very useful, if you ask me, because later on you map back to your original mind mapping ideas, and then you see where you either you should accept it or not. For instance, if the cost of the product out there is just 100 ringgit, your competitors sell it at 120 or 90, within that. So you want to sell it at 100 ringgit. So you always have to think about the profit. So how can the process of developing it will take like 200 ringgit? Definitely is a no-no to your innovation, because when you sell it at 100 ringgit, your manufacturing cost is 200 ringgit, is definitely a no. Nobody will like to listen to your innovation. So these are the things, all the feedback, accept it, and then mind map it back to your original mind map ideas. Okay, this is actually one of the things. So
that means,
yeah, sorry.
That means how we react to the comment is important,
Correct. Okay, because we already done all the mind mapping earlier. We are the one that actually know our product. 100% understand the things. So when you receive feedbacks, remember the panels or whatsoever might not understand the whole story, but take it and then map it against to your original mind map, and continues to develop your mind map until your product or innovations or ideas is ready. Now, I believe that is actually what I want to wrap up. Thank you.
Dr. CHUA, your turn.
Okay, so thank you. Right, so to wrap up, okay, basically what I would just like to strengthen my points there, to whether you are from engineering or whether you are not from engineering, you're from social background, you're from business or IT, always challenge yourself to, the word I would like to use is challenge yourself to go into a different zone, okay, different zone, all right, move out of your comfort zone, okay, don't be a couch potato. Okay, don't be a couch potato staying just inside there and then working in your silos. Okay, learn all the different skills that will be useful. Engineers nowadays are not just only sufficient to learn about technical skills. You need to learn all the other so-called the soft skills. Okay, all the soft skills, communication skills. That's why if you look at, okay, maybe for academicians, if you look at the so-called the 2020 versions of the EAC accreditation manual, you go and search one of the pages, it's written there, you need critical thinking skill, you need creative thinking, you need all these skills, not just only the technical skills. Now we have to all these things. Go and read the engineering accreditation manual. So all the things we need to equip our students. In terms of the technical skills, there were a few papers already there already. Our engineering graduates are equivalent on par with one of those graduates coming back from overseas, from Oxford, from MIT. Technical skills, they are on par, but they lack of the one thing that we mentioned here today, innovation, creativity. This is the thing that was lacking in our graduates, whether you are actually in the engineering or you are actually in others like IT or management. This is the thing that actually makes the difference between our graduates and the other graduates, because of the different environment and the different exposures, and they are willing to get out from their comfort zones. Okay, so that one, okay, when you implement the things, because of this out of your comfort zone, you will have a different perspective. Okay, you will look at the things differently already, and then you will have the ideas. You have your idea championing, you have the idea implementation already. It really solves the problems. Okay, all right, so I think that's wrap up from my side.
Thank you, panels. So we finally come to the end part of today's webinar. I would like to thank again our panels for an informative and interesting presentations, and to the IPs for active participations. Thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned, and we will meet again on 26 December 2021, which is next week. To all the IPs and panels, please remain for the group photo sessions. Okay, with that, I will pass the sessions to media for group photo sessions. Mr. Farhat?
Wait, I'm currently shooting the Hopefully everyone can turn on the camera, yeah. Actually, I already started taking the picture. So hopefully everyone can turn on the camera. Everyone, turn on the camera, please. Although you are still driving and doing something. Okay, I will start taking the picture right now. Hold on, yeah.
Hi, students. Could you please turn on your camera, students?
Okay, turn on the camera. Iman. Okay, I will start taking the picture. Okay. 2 more. Last one. Thank you, everyone. We will stop the live streaming session.
Okay, thank you.